lot harder than going up after your guy that you work with a lot who's a good, strong act. Night and day.
You're talking about Jim, right?
Anybody. It's not an insult to anybody, but I'm saying Dane just rips the roof off the building, then you have to go on after. That's hard.
Yeah. You think that's why she didn't want to follow you?
Possibly. Probably, yeah.
Very interesting. You know, after that night, you would think that I would get like a nice message from her. But not only did I did not get a thank you from her, although I did get a thank you from some of your teammates from the soccer game because you were late, and they said it really helped the team.
Really?
Yeah.
Believe this guy, Dale?
Everything he says, I believe. I don't respect what he says, but I believe what he says.
That's Dale Lawrence. He's our engineer. And clearly we've gone into anarchy here. Here's Paul, who hasn't eaten all day or has gotten a Facebook message saying that we should eat during the show. And Jim has probably added as much as he's added to any podcast we've had since he started.
He did make, I want to say, 4 podcasts in a row.
Yeah.
Previous to his last absence.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you think about the great streaks, DiMaggio's 56 and Ripken's 2130, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy who didn't want to be here to come 4 times in a row, that's impressive.
Well, he did want to come here, though.
You think?
I think he says he did.
I remember when he came in on that 4th one, my mouth just dropped. I was like, oh my God, he's here again. And then I held my breath, and I exhaled. That's probably what got him sick. But anyways, it was...
Was that the time that you said, who's that guy?
Yeah.
And I said, that's Jim. Yeah. You said, Jim who?
I think I know James better than Jim at this point.
I think we all know a lot about James right now. And Jim. Any other gigs that were good and bad? Good or bad?
Sports. So I remember doing a show with Kevin Knox.
Okay, the late great Kevin Knox.
So he was going before me. I was nervous about that because he wanted to go in and jump on, and then me go, and it was a fundraiser for like the Celtics or a bunch of the local sports teams. And it was next door to Nick's in some room, and it was packed. No one was sitting. It was just people everywhere, and you could bid on this guy's sneakers that he signed, then we're going to do comedy.
Yeah.
So Kevin goes up, and Kevin's hilarious, but no one's listening. In fact, as he's standing here, people are just walking by him, leaving, like just a mass exodus of people. He's literally. So I hear one woman venting because Kevin used to swear a lot.
Yeah.
How dare this man swear? And I forgot to mention. So previous to Kevin going on, Dennis Johnson had spoke, and I love Dennis Johnson. God rest his soul too. But he had just had a horrible domestic incident at home with a knife.
Okay.
And all the papers.
All right.
So I just, I said, are you kidding me? You're mad he's got to talk a couple of swears when the guy before was just in a domestic thing with a knife. You're listening all attentively to him. Now you're rudely walking. So her and I are yelling at each other, arguing.
This is off stage.
Yeah. But there's no stage. We're just in this room.
Okay. But did you have a microphone?
To talk to her?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So Kevin was on stage and you're talking to her on the side.
Yeah.
Sounds like it added a lot to the event.
Yeah. So anyways, he ate it, handed it to me, I ate it. It was just, you couldn't contend. It's one thing when they're talking. It's another thing when they're talking and rushing by you out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like, it sounds horrible. Did you put it on your resume?
That show? We didn't do much time either. I think we were supposed to do 30 each, and he might have done 10, and I did like 8.
I did one for I played over 30 baseball, and I just started doing comedy, and they were having some meeting, and they I think paid me like $100 to go, be the comedian. Yeah, I know. Trust me, they would have been better off saving the money. It was so bad because I was new. I knew the league. I had maybe 2 or 3 good jokes that related to the league, and maybe, as you remember from me early, I had 2 or 3 good jokes. So 6 good jokes then for 30 minutes. So made for a long
those jokes.
Made for a long 28 minutes after the first 2. You got another one?
Horrible sports gigs? No, but I'll tell you. So one of my best sports jokes is the Bill Buckner bit.
Yeah,
that I used to tell all the time.
Yes.
Okay? So the bit was basically that Buckner, lost the World Series for this 6-state region, New England, so many fans, and now everyone blames him. But what he should have done after he missed the ball was to just jog over to it, pull his pants down, and piss on the ball. Because now no one's going to remember the era, right? So the joke was the guy goes home at night and the wife's like, how was the game? He goes, I don't know, but that Buckner's a friggin' nut. He pissed on the ball. And so anyways, we're doing the show on Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
It's me, Kevin Knox, and Spike Tobin.
Yep.
So before the show, we decide everyone do one joke about lobsters. Just come up with something funny about lobsters. Okay? So Spike goes on, does his set, does a lobster joke. I forget, I think it was about eating lobster. Okay. So I decided that I would do the Buckner joke, but when he runs around the field after he pisses, he's got a lobster hanging out of his ass. And he shoves a lobster up his ass and runs around the field. And then when the wife says, how was the game? That Buckner's a nut. The guy has crabs the size of house pets was the tag. So I add on to the Buckner bit, and then it worked. It worked better. I was like, I just added to my joke. So then Kevin goes up, and Kevin had been drinking heavily. He had a terrible set. He only did like 6 minutes. He repeated a couple jokes. And then as he walked off, he looked at Spike and I and realized he hadn't done a lobster joke. So he just literally, imagine being in the crowd seeing this. Like, first of all, we're assuming he's going to do like 30, 35. He did like 8. Then you see him walk back on stage and just grab the mic and go, fucking lobsters. And just walk back to his seat.
That's probably a lot funnier to us than certainly for Dale. Dale's just looking at us going, yeah.
Oh, I can laugh? I didn't know I could laugh. I thought I was just the engineer.
No, you can laugh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's funny stuff, man. That's funny stuff.
You would have laughed if his laugh that's involuntary.
How many people you think went home that night and said, I don't get the last joke? 2 guys were laughing hysterically. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's almost always true that if you see comedians laughing at a comedy show, then you're not going to get the joke. No one's going to get the joke except the comedians. Any other? I did a sports thing once for I can't tell you the group because I don't want to. We had done it 2 years in a row. The first year was great, and the second year they got their own sound. And the guy who got the sound, there was some. In fact, you might know this better than me, Dale.
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
You might know this.
Sound engineer.
Yeah. They had something called a gate or something where it would clip the beginning of.
Absolutely, the noise gate.
The noise gate.
Yep.
Well, apparently these were the guy was in a band and we did the sound check, and I don't remember coming up in sound check, but it wasn't a very long sound check. It was sort of like, you guys already set this up? And they said, yeah. And I go, check 1, 2, 3 and whatever. And we were done. But then when we went into the show, the sound gate would clip off the start of every sentence. Does that
noise gate, because their noise gate it's going to drop out low sounds. So if he's in a band, it's all high sounds. It's drums, it's guitar, it's bass, it's someone singing very loud.
Yeah.
But as the what we're doing right now, just basic voice, low conversational tone is going to get clipped.
Yeah.
The noise gate should have been up higher so it doesn't clip the low end. Because we're on low end of the noise gate right now.
All right. Well, this one.
A lot of different stuff, don't you? I never even heard the term before.
Yeah, no, it's
we had never heard it either, and we have 3 or 4.
And they couldn't hear you. People couldn't hear you. You were saying words, and that you'd come in on the 4th word,
right?
And your jokes got all screwed up.
Yeah, and the sound guy didn't know. He's just a volunteer who volunteered his equipment. He didn't remember it. He didn't know it. And the guy who's organizing it, and at one point the guy's yelling at us because if your guys had better, and we're trying everything, we're trying all these different techniques, and Paul D'Angelo, who's going on last, is watching this, and somebody says, you've just got to hold the mic like this, and he says, I've been doing this 35 years. I'm pretty sure I know how to run a microphone. And they finally fixed it for the last half an hour, but by then we had lost so much of the room. It was just awful. Yeah,
once you lose them, man, it's tough to get them back.
You have any more?
Well, I'll tell you, I get a joke I get in trouble for a lot.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I love jokes you get in trouble for.
Like kicked off the radio type stuff.
Kicked off the radio?
Yeah.
All right.
And I did the joke on Nesson Comedy All-Stars. So Nesson is a sports show. It has Bruins and Red Sox. And they are relatively tame, right? They have Charlie Moore. There's nothing edgy about it. So when they decided to do a comedy show and film 15, 20 comedians from Boston, you obviously knew you couldn't swear. So everything that they showed, I feel like they were saying, we're okay with that. There's nothing offensive about it.
Yeah.
So, my soccer joke where I say Mexico played the U.S., okay? And the game was at the U.S., which to the Mexicans is basically a home game.
Yes.
It's just, if you just watch the news, that's factual.
That's factual. That's factual.
So then there was a foul, and the U.S. set up a wall, and the Mexicans climbed right over it.
Yep. Fine joke. Fine joke.
people would determine somehow that I was anti this or that. It's a soccer joke. You build walls in the sport. And when I came up with the joke there was the opening game of the World Cup. Mexico was playing South Africa.
Yeah.
And they had a wall, and Mexico had a free kick, and it just occurred to me, that's funny. What if they just ran over the wall?
And you, as I recall, you didn't even say it.
No, I didn't. Actually, the ref said it. When people come up to me and say, I don't like what you said, I say, I didn't say it. The ref did. So.
That's one of my new favorite jokes is the ref said it, because you added it. You for years you didn't say that, and you did. And I think it's just very funny to see the weird world that your brain exists in versus the rest of the world. I don't have any crazy joke stories like that. I have another horrible gig story. Would you like to hear about it?
Sure.
Okay. This was it wasn't directly. It was I got the gig because of a sports fundraiser, but this was not a sports fundraiser. I got a call from the guy who had set up the sports fundraiser. It went really well, and now it's a private show, and I had the night off. I decided to take the Saturday off because I had a girlfriend at the time, and we were going to go out, and it was going to be a night off because, as you know, comedians don't have many weekend nights off, and obviously for you and Jim, your wives are happy about that because it means they don't have to look at you. They don't have to see you. But, girlfriends are different. Girlfriends, they go out with you, and the first time they go, you bring them to a comedy show, and they're like, oh, everyone's so funny. And then, after a while, it's like, we got to go to this? We got to go to this again? Are you going to talk about your set after the show? So I had a date, and the person called me, and I said, I can get you another comedian. No, they want you. And I said, I don't want to do a private party. There are always kids there. He goes, no kids. I said, there's going to be no stage. There's going to be no lights. He says, there'll be a stage. There'll be lights. We're going to be all controlled. It'll be a designated area, blah, 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 blah. And I
can tell already he oversold the game.
I said, I have plans. I have this girl, da-da-da. And he told me the money. And so I said, I'll take it. Because the money was really good.
Stage whore, you.
It was good money. I needed the money. I feel like many people are performing, I needed the money. So first of all, the gig is in Ware, New Hampshire. First thing is, it's easy to get lost up there, particularly if you have bad directions, which I did. This was before GPS. Mm-hmm. So first I get lost. It's a rainy day. It's an outdoor event. There are kids all over the place. No stage, no light. No, nothing. No organization.
Did they just have the kids? Because he told you earlier there were no kids. Did they just suddenly pop out a bunch of kids?
I believe that he gave me bad information. Or they just popped out some very mature children. Not mature like teenagers, but, Anyway, then I have to find my contact, who's the hostess, who's drunk. She's drunk, and I find her, and she looks at me, and she says, are you the magician?
Sort of.
Yeah. And that was the gig. And it was one of the worst gigs I've ever done.
You ate it.
I did eat it. And somebody was videotaping, and I hadn't been in the business long enough to realize that, you could tell them to shut it off. But it was also, they were the only person paying any attention was the person videotaping me, telling my jokes, getting no laughs with no one's paying attention. And finally, I just started talking to the camera and talking about how awful it was.
So when you eat it, do you tend to cut your time, or do you fulfill the contract?
No, I always fulfill the contract.
Gosh, no. No, why do they want to? If you're eating it, why do they want you to do 10 more minutes of eating it?
Well, I try to establish that before.
Yeah.
Before, like when I'm talking to them, I'm saying, look, let's give me 20 minutes. If it's going well, we'll do 40 minutes. Give me half an hour. If we're doing well, we'll go longer.
I mean, when I send you on gigs, I always tell the people, if he's eating it, he's only doing like 20. He's not doing 30. Yeah. I prepare them.
Thank you. Thanks, Will. Is that your rim shot?
Yeah.
Like the chips?
I'd say the worst show I ever did was I was sent to the show with instructions to bring the bag of money with me when I left.
Okay.
I was to pick up this young black comedian somewhere in Boston and then drive to Mattapan at the Rolls Royce.
Okay.
So
they had a bag of money for you?
The bag.
He said
which at the time I thought no big deal, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm like 22 and I'm confident and I'm not going to, it's not, midnight. It's
what could go wrong in the heart of gang territory in Boston with a white guy with a bag of money?
So, but I figure they're gonna like me. I'm funny. They're gonna like me, and everything's gonna be cool.
Yeah.